Imagine a fire starts in a room. Within moments, a sprinkler on the ceiling begins spraying water and helps stop the fire from spreading. But have you ever wondered how that sprinkler knew there was a fire? Does it detect smoke? Does it have a hidden sensor inside? And is it true that when one sprinkler activates, every sprinkler in the building starts spraying water? Many people believe that's exactly how fire sprinklers work. But almost all of those beliefs are wrong. The truth is much more surprising. In fact, most fire sprinklers don't use electricity, computers, or smoke detectors to activate. Instead, they rely on a tiny hidden component and a simple piece of science that has protected buildings for decades. Let's discover how it really works. Before we look at what activates a sprinkler, here's something surprising. Most fire sprinkler systems are already prepared for a fire long before one starts. Hidden above the ceiling is a network of pipes connected to a water supply. In many buildings, these pipes are already filled with water and kept under pressure. That means the water is ready to flow at a moment's notice. The sprinkler heads are also constantly on standby, waiting for the right conditions. But here's the interesting part. Even though water is sitting just above the sprinkler, it doesn't come out. Something is holding it back. So if the water is already there and ready to go, what exactly is stopping it from flowing? The answer is hidden inside every sprinkler head. Now let's take a closer look at a fire sprinkler head. At first glance, it looks like a simple piece of metal attached to a pipe. But hidden inside is a tiny glass bulb that does a very important job. In fact, this small bulb is the part that keeps the water from flowing out. The bulb acts like a stopper, holding the sprinkler closed while water waits above it. Most people never notice it because it's so small. But without this bulb, the sprinkler couldn't work properly. What's even more interesting is that the bulb isn't empty. Inside it is a special liquid designed to react to heat. And that liquid is the secret behind how a sprinkler knows exactly when to activate. So the next question is, what happens inside the bulb when a fire starts nearby? So what's actually inside that tiny glass bulb? The bulb contains a special liquid that expands when it gets hotter. Under normal conditions, the liquid stays stable and keeps the sprinkler closed. But when a fire starts nearby, the temperature around the sprinkler begins to rise. As the heat increases, the liquid expands and takes up more space inside the bulb. This creates increasing pressure within the glass. Different bulbs are designed to activate at different temperatures, which is why they often have different colors. For example, a common red bulb activates at around 68 degrees Celsius. So the bulb isn't detecting smoke, it's responding to heat. And when the temperature becomes high enough, the glass can no longer hold the pressure. Many people believe that smoke is what activates a fire sprinkler. But that's actually one of the biggest myths about sprinkler systems. A room can fill with smoke, and the sprinkler may still remain closed. That's because sprinklers are designed to respond to heat, not smoke. As a fire grows, hot air rises toward the ceiling. When enough heat reaches the sprinkler head, the temperature of the glass bulb begins to increase. Only when the bulb reaches its activation temperature does the sprinkler react. This design helps prevent unnecessary water discharge from things like burnt toast, cooking smoke, or steam. So sprinklers aren't looking for smoke at all. They're waiting for a specific amount of heat. And when that temperature is reached, the real action begins. Now we reach the moment that activates the sprinkler. As the fire continues producing heat, the liquid inside the glass bulb expands more and more. This creates increasing pressure inside the bulb. For a while, the glass is strong enough to hold that pressure. But once the temperature reaches the sprinkler's activation point, the pressure becomes too great. The glass bulb suddenly shatters. And the moment it breaks, it releases the small metal plug that was blocking the water. The sprinkler is now open. Water that has been waiting inside the pipe finally has a clear path to escape. This entire process happens automatically. No electricity, no computer, no person pressing a button. Just heat, pressure, and a tiny glass bulb doing exactly what it was designed to do. Once the glass bulb breaks, the sprinkler head is finally opened. Water that has been waiting inside the pipe can now flow out. But it doesn't simply fall straight down. As the water leaves the sprinkler, it hits a metal deflector plate. This plate spreads the water into a wide spray pattern below. The goal isn't to flood the entire room. The goal is to cool the fire and reduce the heat as quickly as possible. This helps slow the fire's growth and prevents it from spreading to nearby areas. Because the water is directed where it's needed most, a single sprinkler can often control a fire in its early stages. But this raises an important question. If one sprinkler activates, why don't all the others activate too? One of the biggest myths about fire sprinklers is that when one sprinkler activates, every sprinkler in the building starts spraying water. But that's usually not true. Each sprinkler works independently. Every sprinkler has its own glass bulb and its own activation temperature. When a fire starts, only the sprinkler closest to the heat becomes hot enough to activate. The nearby sprinklers stay closed because they haven't reached their activation temperature. This is actually a smart design. It delivers water where it's needed most while avoiding unnecessary water damage elsewhere. In many fires, a single sprinkler is enough to control the situation. That's why sprinkler systems are so effective at stopping small fires before they become much bigger problems. So, how effective are fire sprinklers at stopping fires? The answer is very effective. A fire is easiest to control when it's still small. That's exactly when sprinklers are designed to act. Instead of waiting for the fire to grow, the sprinkler begins cooling the area as soon as enough heat reaches it. This helps slow the fire's growth and can stop it from spreading to nearby rooms. As a result, there is often less damage to the building and more time for people to escape safely. Firefighters may still be needed, but they often arrive to a much smaller and more manageable fire. In many cases, a single sprinkler can make the difference between a minor incident and a major disaster. So, how do fire sprinklers actually work? They don't detect smoke, they don't wait for a person to switch them on, and they certainly don't cause every sprinkler in a building to activate at once. Instead, each sprinkler contains a tiny glass bulb filled with a special liquid. When a fire produces enough heat, the liquid expands until the bulb breaks. That opens the sprinkler and releases water directly onto the fire. Most of the time, only the sprinkler closest to the fire activates. It's a simple design, but an incredibly effective one. By reacting quickly and controlling fires while they're still small, fire sprinklers help protect buildings, reduce damage, and most importantly, save lives. There's always more to discover. Like, share, and subscribe to Beyond Basics for more fascinating videos made simple.